Those things haven't been shelved. Development is a complicated, long-term process. It's often not a shelving. It's just, is it ready? Kevin Feige's project was something announced in the press, or I suppose fandom, but there was nothing ever got developed.
Right.
We never discussed an idea. We did, as everybody knows, Kevin's.
Yes, it's easy to say, oh, Kathleen Kennedy, she doesn't even know Star Wars, right? Well, partially, but not actually. I'm a big fan of Kathleen Kennedy in charge of Lucasfilm. I think she's doing a great job. She is, honestly, it's awesome to see such a seasoned veteran come into the space and take over this long-standing company founded by George Lucas. But there's a problem coming Lucasfilm's way, and it revolves around the amount of content that they're going to be stepping forward, announcing, canceling, shelving, redoing, that I think we need to talk about. It's something that I've been thinking about a lot recently as we go through this lower, drier spell of Star Wars. It's giving me time to think about, what's the plan here? Welcome to Star Wars Uplink. Let's jump right in. Despite Kathleen Kennedy's statements here, yes, they did announce the Kevin Feige project. No, it wasn't a thing of the fandom. It was reported on by Variety and was confirmed in several other publications, like those screenshots I put up earlier. It was a thing. It wasn't some fabrication. But this is a marker for something that's bigger than just this tiny interview. Star Wars is massive. They're expanding faster, broader, and bigger than they've ever done before. The timelines in between projects, the amount of projects that are going on is honestly hard to keep up with. We've got the TV shows, we've got the video games, we've got the comics, we've got the books. These are all bits and pieces expanding the galaxy in more ways than we've ever seen before. And with the movies coming up, the movies are the true canon. That is what will decide what is actually true and what is actually false. As we've seen throughout the years, and Rise of Skywalker being one of the big moments, just because something was said in the extended universe doesn't mean it is true entirely. Poe Dameron was a completely different backstory before The Rise of Skywalker came out. And it's not even just that. In the Tales of the Jedi, Ahsoka's backstory was very different in the extended universe than it was in that specific show. Is this a big deal? No, not really. But if they're looking to take things more seriously as they get into the movies, as they get more into the shows, as they cover more of this galaxy and timeline, it might be difficult to keep track of everything that's happening. I already feel overwhelmed. I have not read one of the new Star Wars books in quite some time. I'm still trying to get caught up. I've only made it to the third Thrawn book of the first trilogy of Thrawn books. So as we get deeper into this universe, there are going to be more questions, and there are going to be more ways that the average audience member could get confused, especially if you look at something like Dave Filoni's movie, which is going to be a tying of the ends or a big moment in the Mandoverse, which is kind of becoming its own little pocket of Star Wars. If you see a new Star Wars movie in theaters, but you have not watched the TV shows, how are you going to properly take advantage of this new Star Wars movie? This is something that we talked about last episode of the podcast when we were talking about Ahsoka. How are they going to encapsulate everything that we know from The Mandalorian and everything that we know about from Rebels and everything that we know about from Clone Wars, as well as pitch it to a new audience who doesn't know anything about that? And they don't have a good track record so far. Look at Season 3 of The Mandalorian. The biggest reveal and most heart-wrenching moment from the Mandalorian series did not take place in the Mandalorian series. It took place in the Book of Boba Fett, which was the return of Grogu. I know so many people that did not watch the Book of Boba Fett. They either canceled Disney Plus and only watched The Mandalorian, or are only interested in The Mandalorian, or just did not know that it came out. And they were so confused when Season 3 of The Mandalorian launched and Grogu was back. And I think that's fine for the TV shows to really connect with each other and weave in and out of one another. But if they want to scale and if they want the popularity and they wanted the general audiences that go to the theater to watch Star Wars, they need to find this middle ground of all of the different people that interact with Star Wars. This series has almost been around 50 years. It's getting really close. And they have so many sub-generations and so many new fans and so many people that only watch the Clone Wars or only watch Rebels or only watch Mandalorian. I was talking to an intern and I asked him what his favorite Star Wars thing was because I saw he had a Star Wars shirt and he's like, yo, Mandalorian's my favorite. And I think that's amazing. So many new fans are getting introduced into Star Wars either through the video games, the new TV shows, the animated stuff. Like, the barrier for entry into Star Wars is unmatched. If you like animation, they've got animation. If you like live action TV, they've got live action TV. If you like the video games, they've got the video games. It seems like they want to piece all of these things together. And with the movies, they need to, yes, have the Star Wars fan be super happy with all the cameos. But also, they need to make the grandma and the grandchild who love to share this Star Wars thing together. They both need to be able to enter the theater and see something that they love and enjoy and understand, because nothing is more demoralizing than going to a movie and not being able to understand what's going on. My family and I have always had an enjoyment for Star Wars, and when the new movies came out, we went to see every single one of them in theaters together, and it's something that we really enjoy. But I know that a lot of my brothers, they have not seen the TV shows. So if they go and see the Dave Filoni Star Wars movie, well, they might not get the same experience that I do. And I would really hate that to happen. So I think that needs to be kept in mind as they build this broader universe and make more references and bring more cameos that, hey, not everybody watches and reads everything in Star Wars. But a lot of them do. So striking that balance is very important. Hey, let me know your thoughts on what I discussed today. What do you think about this broadening universe that we're getting in Star Wars? Obviously, there's so many different bits and pieces that are enjoyed and taken into account when we look at Star Wars. I know people that just watch the TV shows. They don't even care about the movies. I know people that just read the comics because they love the stories and they love the smaller, more intricate pieces that they get to flesh out. So let me know your thoughts on this. And as always, check out our podcast and may the Force be with you.